Welcome to the Tribune Scouting Report. I'm Jennifer Fierro here in the Fieldhouse video room of the Burnet High School Bulldogs. This is where the Bulldogs look at film, break down plays, and figure out what they're going to do against their opponents each and every week. Of course, this week is no different as the Bulldogs are preparing for a tough road game at 3-1 Gatesville. Of course, we're going to be asking Coach Walker about all of that. Doyle Walker, the head coach of the Bulldogs, will also comment about the win over Bandera. And then we're going to ask Roger Moore exactly what his Bulldogs need to do in order to come away with a big win. All that and more on the Tribune Scouting Report right now.
Fall season in Texas calls for Sunday afternoons with friends, football, and of course, barbecue. At Bill Smith Butane, we take care of your fuel needs. Refill your propane bottles at one of our convenient locations and save big money on regular exchange prices. Bill Smith Butane.
Welcome back. We want to thank you for joining us wherever and however you're able to. With me now is the head coach of the Burnet Bulldogs, 2-2 now, Doyle Walker. And Coach, congratulations, a big road win at Bandera last week. What was it, 45-20?
45-20, yes ma'am.
Give me some of your thoughts about that game.
You know, we went into that game expecting a lot more out of Bandera. Their kids are very talented. Their skilled athletes, their skill positions were scary. And, you know, I think their starting quarterback being out kind of hurt them a little bit. You know, their backup came in and he fumbled the ball a couple of times, and you know, I think that kind of hurt them. So they're a lot better when their starting quarterback was in there, but him being out hurt them.
I felt like in the blink of an eye, y'all were up 14-0. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we returned a punt, and Maldonado got free on a punt right there, and got us on top, and then we go down and score again, and then we go up, and I think after that it was pretty, you know, pretty much looking back. So
yeah, I believe it was 28-7 at the half, and then you add another 14 points there in the third quarter. At about what time did you pull your starters?
Into the third quarter. I mean, probably 2 or 3 minutes into toward the end of the third quarter, and we put the backups in, and it helped. I mean, it kind of got a little ugly there, and we had several penalties with those kids in there, but that's the first time most of those guys had seen any action, so it was good for them. Okay.
Now you turn your attention to Gatesville, what seems like a very dangerous Gatesville Hornet team. They're coming into this game 3-1 overall in the season. What are your impressions of the Hornets?
Hey, they played some good teams. They played Brownwood, and Brownwood beat them. They played Salado and beat them in overtime, and you know, they're a very good football team, and they're very sound in everything they do, offensively, defensively, special teams, and they're very talented. So we've got our work cut out for us, and it'll be an interesting ball game.
In your opinion, then, where would you rank their offense, or what do you think? What do they like to do? What do you think they're going to throw out at you?
I think they're going to be pretty balanced, you know, pass and run, and I think they're going to try to establish a running game early, and then, you know, if they need to, they'll throw the ball, and they've got some receivers that can go get it. So we'll see what happens.
What about their defense?
Defensively, boy, they're stout defensively. They're scary, and they throw, you know, several different fronts at you. They're sending linebackers, and they're very sound with their linebackers, and their defensive line is quick as cats, and they're strong, and you know, they could pose some problems for us.
Do you think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know you do a home-and-home series, 2-year contracts with these schools. Mm-hmm. You're playing this Hornets team right before you take a bye and before you start District 25 3A play. Did you do that on purpose?
No. I mean, it's just the way it fell, and like I say, our pre-district games are all tough, and I feel like it gets us ready, you know, when district rolls around. So the games played out, you know, that we were going there on, you know, before we had the open date, and it may be good for us, you know, because they're very physical, and hopefully, heaven forbid, anybody get hurt, but we may need a little time to recover. So we'll see what happens.
Gatesville should be, just like some of the other teams, as you mentioned, a team that gets y'all ready for 25 3A play. Mm-hmm. Are you surprised by how well your district is performing right now in its pre-district schedules all over?
No, I think everybody in our district has played some excellent football teams. I really do, and I think the strength of the schedule for any of us in our district is just getting us prepared for district, and I don't think there's going to be any letdown when district rolls around.
Okay. Well, Coach, we wish you all the best. Look forward to hearing about the results of the Gatesville game next week, and then talk a little bit about your bye and how the Bulldogs are spending that time getting ready for 25-3A.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll be back with Roger Moore. Thanks for staying with us. Joining me now is the voice of the Burnet Bulldogs, Roger Moore. And Roger, you had the opportunity to at least listen into this tremendous win that your Bulldogs earned over the Bulldogs of Bandera. Give me some of the thoughts you had about that game.
I was just thrilled, coming off of a heartbreaker like we had against Marble Falls, and then come out and play as well as we did. And setting the tone early, that was really, really important. And with the return for a touchdown early on, that was huge, and got things rolling.
Now, of course, you were talking about Zach Maldonado, the outstanding senior athlete, and I call him that because he's so versatile, can be used in so many different spots. What does it do for a team psyche, though, to average 14 points per quarter for 3 quarters?
Oh, you just can't imagine. It's just like, just such a build-up, such a boost, and the way they feel about themselves, the way they handle themselves, it just you get that swagger, I guess you could say, and just get it and you go with it.
How important do you think that swagger is going to be as now the Bulldogs prepare for another road trip going the opposite direction now to Gatesville?
Gonna be important. Gonna be very important. They've got to walk on the field believing in themselves. It's going to be a challenge. That's probably going to be as tough a challenge as even back to Giddings or Marble Falls. That's going to be a good challenge for them. Gatesville always is tough, and when you play them at home, it's almost like, wow.
You said that when you coached with Bob Shipley, or maybe it was before Bob, I had to be with Bob because you coached Jordan and Steven back in the early 2000s. You said that this was one of the harder road trips. Is it because of the fact that you have such a great home field advantage? Is it because of the trip itself and the length? Is it the schemes that they run? Why is it so difficult?
That's a good question. It just seemed like it was an uphill battle the whole game that night we played. And they were good, when we played them, but it just seems like they were even better. They believed in themselves at home. Teams just sometimes you go to Wimberley, it's the same way. It's like, and sometimes you get some calls that you question, you're like, where did that come from? Is that a Gatesville deal, or is it a Wimberley deal, or whatever? It just happens, and probably nothing to it, but it just always seemed like it. The enthusiasm from their fans and stuff, you're playing through a lot of things. And of course, back then, everyone was gunning for us, so it was that way every week pretty well, but they had the tools that they could actually do some shooting.
Burnet is now preparing for their final non-district game of the regular season. They're going to take a bye next week. Do you think it's crucial that they have a win over Gatesville before they go into the bye?
Oh, I think it's, definitely. I think it would be a huge impact on going into that week, and now you can say, hey, let's get healthy again and let's get ready. We've had a good first half of the season, and we're ready to attack the district games.
Is it easier then to, because right now they're 2-2, is it easier then to kind of forget your non-district schedule if you end up winning that or leaving that on a winning note?
Yeah, I don't think it's totally end of the world if you don't, but I think it just gives you a psychic about like, hey, let's, we can do this. And I don't think it's just imperative, but I think it's just a great thing if you can.
Okay. Well, Roger, we certainly appreciate it. Look forward to hearing from you again very, very soon. We appreciate all of your time, and of course, we'll be back with some closing thoughts.
Caring for you like family is not just our motto, it is our commitment to our patients. At Texas Hills Urgent Care Centers, our highly trained nurses, physicians, and staff know that your health and your family's health are important. With weekend and evening hours, Texas Hills Urgent Care Centers is here for all your family's health care needs, including treatment for illnesses, injuries, school and travel vaccinations, as well as many other services. Located on Highway 71 in Bee Cave and on Highway 281 in Marble Falls, convenient and professional medical care is just around the corner.
The Burnet Bulldogs are going to be hitting the road again, going over to Gatesville, traveling in the opposite direction of where they were at Bandera. Make no mistake about this, Gatesville is going to be tougher than Bandera, tougher than Marble Falls, tougher than Fredericksburg. Are they as tough as Giddings? That's a good question. Here's what I do know though. We're going to learn a lot from the Burnet Bulldogs from this game. It will be important that they get off to a fast start, not make the mistakes that have been haunting them, and give the offense some short fields to work from and have the defense unleashed. Now, remember that the Bulldogs will take a bye the following week, so look for Burnet to do everything it has to do to come out with a big win on the road. If they can do that, things will be a whole lot easier during the bye as the Bulldogs prepare for the opener of District 25 3A. Until then, though, you can count on us to get you caught up on all of the stuff from Gatesville when we come back and visit with head coach Doyle Walker, get his thoughts on his Bulldogs and everything else that relates to Burnet football. Until then, I'm Jennifer Fierro. We'll see you next week.